and Grow families, it's Mrs. Edwards, your school principal. I'd like to welcome everyone to the 2021 school year and just let everyone know how proud I am of all the hard work you're doing during distance learning. Parents, we really appreciate all of the hard work and the support, and to all of our students, keep up the amazing work. Every Friday, we're going to be shouting out some names of our students that have been working so hard during distance learning. Our shout outs, everybody get ready. Here we go. Oh my goodness, I see a friend, boys and girls. It's Lightning, our school mascot. Hi, Lightning. Wow, Lightning showed up today to give a big high five and a wave to all of our students. Aren't you proud of everyone, Lightning? Thanks for stopping by. See you next time. That was so nice of Lightning, boys and girls. He's proud of you too. All right, our first shout out from Mrs. Corder's class goes to Emily McGonigal for always participating and communicating in her class. Way to go, Emily. Our next shout out goes to a student in Miss Davidson's class. Aziel Aficiel has been turning in all of her work and coming on time to every Zoom class. Our next shout out goes to a student in Mrs. Mullicane's class, Kaylee Hazel. Kaylee, you are always on task and always focused during Zoom time. Our next shout out in Mrs. Gardner's class is Brooklyn Redford. Brooklyn always participates with a smile. Mrs. Gardner loves to watch her sing and dance to the morning songs. It makes her so happy. Our next shout out is in Mrs. Triplett's class. Anthony Scalia has passed all of the words on Dolch List 1, and he's keeping up with all the assignments in Google Classroom, always with a smile in his Zoom class. Our next shout out is from Mrs. Chandler, our fabulous librarian. Would like to thank Joseph Orachena for always being dependable and helpful and always trying to help to fix those Zoom lessons. Our next shout out is for Mrs. Schweller's class, Juliana Hernandez. She's been working so hard to complete all of her assignments and participate in Zoom, and Juliana always has a smile on her face. Up next, in Miss Bayham's class, the shout out goes to Beckett. Beckett has been so brave during the Zoom meetings and is working so hard on overcoming her feelings as she works hard to participate. Our next shout out is in Mrs. Files' class, Shyla Ram. Shyla is such a responsible student and has been completing all of her work on time. In Mrs. Crowback's class, shout out to Liana Acavia, who always participates, shows her head nodding and her thumbs up, and always answering right away on Zoom. Shout out in Mrs. Cargo's class, Julian Ime. You have been so helpful with technology tips and you always have thoughtful comments. In Mrs. Henry's class, Anna Mears. You have been working so hard, giving effort and completing your work. Our next shout out goes to Mrs. Gonus's student, Cohen Jorgensen. Cohen, you've done a great job persevering through all this new technology that you're learning to navigate with. You always ask clarifying questions and you always make sure you understand your assignments. Big shout out to Cohen. Up next in Mrs. Bowman's class, Gabriel Gomez. Wow, Gabriel, you took first place in the Kahoot subtraction practice, scoring over 9,000 points. Way to go, Gabriel. Our next shout out is in Mrs. Corsten's class, Adrian Soto. You have such great classroom manners. You always stay on task, and you make your teacher laugh. In Mrs. Gall's class, Cameron Kuhn, you have been showing the trait of enthusiasm. Way to go, Cameron. Up next in Miss Mahan's class, Parker Cronin. Parker, you always bring a smile to the class, and you are always eager to help. Our next shout out is for Miss Kate's class. Shouting out to Dean Baker. Dean shows up to every Zoom with a smile on his face and always full of excitement. He's doing all the seesaw videos that he sends to Miss Kate and showing how hard he works. Up next, Mrs. Holton's shout out also goes to Joseph Orachena. He's been so helpful to him and his classmates, super organized, and has all the class codes ready to help all students on their apps. Way to go, Joseph. Up next, Mrs. Mice, Honesty Khan. Honesty, you have shown the characteristic of grit. You always have a positive attitude with everything that you take on. Our next shout out is in Mrs. Miller's class. Mrs. Miller would like to acknowledge Tristan Casito for always being willing to share, volunteer and answer, and her enthusiasm. Way to go, Tristan. A shout out in Miss Lee's class goes to Victoria Peretta. Victoria has been focused and full participation during all lessons. Way to go, Victoria. Our next shout out is in Mrs. Faraci's class, Madison 4. You have been so kind and considerate of others, and you've given your teacher some great insights as to how to help the class and the whole family. Our next shout out goes from Mrs. Gonzalez's class. A shout out to Lucas Doty for working hard on his reading and his math. He's done a great job keeping up with all his assignments, and he always has a positive attitude. Our next shout out is in Miss Didio's class. A shout out to Mason Carbone. He always comes to class and he tries his very best. Mason, you are doing great. Our next shout out is coming from Mrs. Dalton. And Mrs. Dalton would like to recognize Victoria Peretta and Landon Rubio. You are both doing so fabulous in your speech class. Way to go. And our last shout out for this week, drum roll, da, 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 is coming from Miss Leilani. She would like to give a shout out to Rudy Coulaire for all of his participation. Rudy, you are doing a tremendous job. Congratulations to all of our students for your amazing work this week. We can't wait to see who gets shouted out next week. Keep up the amazing work and determination. See you next week.